Thank you for listening to the Gateway to the Rockies podcast from Visit Aurora from the rafters of the Stanley Marketplace. This is the show dedicated to telling the stories of Aurora, Colorado. Hi there, I'm Dave, Senior Marketing Manager for Visit Aurora. Community College of Aurora serves nearly 12,000 students at its Center Tech campus in Aurora, at its Lowry campus, at the former Lowry Air Force Base, and through online classes. Today, we're joined by its sixth president, a man deeply tied to the Aurora community and, dare I say, style icon. Thank you for joining us, Dr. Mordecai Brownlee.
Oh, it's an honor to be here, my friend. Thank you so much for having us.
Rare is the gentleman who could pull off the bow tie. What's the secret?
You know, I will tell you 30 days of a YouTube video class. I think it finally got me right, man. The first week was a bit of a trial. Second week, now I can kind of do it in the dark. I've got it down now.
That's not a clip-on. That's a legitimate...
This is the real deal, man.
Wow.
No clip-ons around here,
I
man.
respect that. As of this recording, you're 1 day away from your 1-year anniversary from taking over as president of CCA.
Yeah.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you very much.
At a challenging time, I imagine you took over. What has the last year been like for you?
You know, it's been a year of revitalization. As we think about what's happening in society, the economic challenges, we're looking at some of those workforce impacts as well. It's a lot of rediscovery for our students, for our communities, as to what is the next era look like? What does the next steps of their life look like? And we're all a part of that at Community College of Aurora. So those are the kind of conversations that we've been having with our students, our stakeholders, our community partners, and also re-envisioning what does the next 10 to 20 years looks like for us. I mean, we're 39 years young now at this point. Our birth date is May 20th, 1983. So we're coming up on 40 years. And so as we think about the future of what we provide this community, certainly those are parts of the conversations we're having as well.
Your mother, Patricia, raised you as a single parent.
That's right.
I imagine you derived a lot of your work ethic from watching her.
Yes.
And I imagine that pushed you to excel.
Yeah. Thanks for asking that, man. You know, Mom, I just talked to my mom this morning. She is originally from a place called Needville, Texas. Was orphaned herself, lost both her mom and dad before the ages of 13, and really was put in a situation where she had to learn how to fend for herself, her brothers and sisters, and serve as a leader. A lot of that grit, a lot of that persistence, a lot of that ability to overcome challenging situations is what she ingrained in me, as I was the only child with my mother for about 12 years. Then my mother remarried. I say that to say that it was 12 years of concentrated pouring in and development that really put me in the position that I'm in now, to be able to create opportunities for others, to help others persevere, to help others realize their full potential. And really what we do in higher education is lead that transformation. So I owe my mother, I'm indebted to what she taught me and the investments that she made in me.
There's probably a significant portion of your student population in a similar circumstance.
Absolutely.
Single parents, mothers in particular, working, taking care of their families and striving for their education. I'm sure you feel a sense of stewardship towards all of your students, but to those ones in particular, what does it mean to help them in their journey and help them succeed?
You know, one of the things, anyone that's listening to this, whether you're an educator or not, but it is so important that we approach every day with grace. The reason I say that is because we have no idea what people are having to overcome in order to be seen in the spaces in which they're in, especially when we're talking about the classroom. It's this idea of, we don't know how many bus trips they had to take. We didn't know how, the hell they had to overcome just to get into that seat. And so we owe it to them to make sure that they feel welcomed and embraced. The other part of that is we're re-envisioning what the next 10 to 20 years looks like for us at CCA, or the services to ensure the supports of the students. Now, we've done a great job with a lot of the social services. We do a good job with that. But childcare has to be up for the conversation. We've been able to do some grant work to where we've been able, through a voucher program, to support students. But now we got to re-envision what does that look like at the next iteration? Because I will tell you, in some of these cases, the wait list for some of these childcare places are 2 years. Yeah. So now, how are we going to provide that childcare? At CCA, we're having that conversation. How are we going to help alleviate the challenges of transportation? We're having that conversation, because these single mothers, these working moms and dads, they have a lot to overcome in order to get into that classroom.
You can speak to your students from a sympathetic place. At one point, you were working full time, having difficulty navigating college yourself, even contemplated leaving at one point, but you persevered, you followed your dreams. How does that perspective from your life experience give you insight into helping your students?
It's this battle of the mind that we all go through, and being able to validate the students in that space. They see this, they see the bow tie, they see all of our other educators, and sometimes there is a lack of ability to be able to relate. The student doesn't feel like they're able to relate to the person that's there serving them or educating them. And perhaps we give sometimes this image of perfect, but by no means are we perfect. We all have a story and still have things that we're overcoming. Telling our stories is what we talk about at CCA. The importance of sharing our stories with these students so they can understand that we're real people with real challenges, and we see in them what's in us, and we want them to win and succeed.
That's such an important point, because I imagine the students, when they see you and the faculty, they envision a finished product, which is never the case. We're constantly evolving, and so are they. So you and the staff can almost serve as like, hey, here's the progress that I've made that you can make as well.
Exactly.
But, we're all evolving constantly at the same time.
Absolutely, man. It is the cycle of continuity of learning and of developing and growing and honing. And so if we bring our students into that space, to give them an infrastructure, a system on how to do that, right? There are going to be times where you doubt yourself, you have challenges, destigmatizing mental health, destigmatizing some of these other pieces and things that make the wholeness and the wellness of the individual. We owe it to the students to provide that reality for them.
Here at Visit Aurora, our job is to obviously shine a light on Aurora as a destination, not only for meeting planners, but for those who are venturing here as a visitor. You've been here now over a year.
Yeah.
What's your impression of Aurora as a community and as a destination?
Oh my gosh, let me tell you something. If you're listening to this podcast, know that this is a space and place that is growing. My family made the decision. We chose Aurora, and we're glad that Aurora chose us. And so this is a community that is thriving. It is set to grow. One of the things that I looked at coming in was the census tract, looking at the census data, taking a look at the economic growth, the projections. This is where the growth will happen for the next 10 to 20 years in the state of Colorado. Plus, the diversity is rich. As we think about CCA, we're pound for pound the most diverse, ethnically diverse college in the state of Colorado. 67% of our students of color, over 90 countries represented. The diversity in Colorado is rich in here, in which it means from a business perspective, you have the diversity of customers and feedback of those in this community, in which we can continue to advance the cultural aptitude of what we provide in terms of service. So this is a great space and place to be, and this is where growth is happening.
You've been described as an inclusive educator committed to the intellectual and economic empowerment of diverse communities. CCA, as you've shined a light on, is the most diverse higher education institution in the state. What is the recipe to bridging these opportunity gaps in our society, and are we making progress?
I think we are making progress. I think now is the time to where I think we're in a season as society. As I think about where we are now, we're in a season of reflection, and that reflection is what is our purpose? What are we doing, and what do we want to do moving forward? I think everyone in some sense is asking themselves that question. They talk about the great consideration of resignations and all that, but folks are really trying to ask the question, what's next? And we're coming out of a global pandemic, something that none of us had any understanding of what we were getting into over the past 2+ years. I say that to say, now more than ever is a time and space where we are realizing who we are, what we do, the value we add to society, what you all do at Visit Aurora, of bringing all of us together at the table to really say, how are we going to add value to this community? You all do an outstanding job of that. Shout out to you all. But at CCA, we're envisioning that and being a part of that story, and we certainly owe it to our communities to do that.
Do you feel a sense of responsibility to help dismantle these institutions that don't serve us, while fostering growth in new ones, not only as an educator, but as a father who wants a level playing field for his children?
Absolutely, man. That's a great question. What I would say is that systematic barriers are real. As we think about the progress that we've made over time, we as a society and as a country, dare I say, are discovering and coming to grips with a part of our histories, and in some cases histories that weren't told. And those histories are not easy to deal with.
Right.
And so in the educational space, now we are charged with creating the right kind of environments where education, information, and the ability to process and to cope and to understand is brought forth. And then what do we do with those feelings and emotions and turn them into productive actions and activities and thoughts of positivity, and feeling a charge of what your role will be in society, right? So taking those emotions and in some cases, some folks, they really truly deal with disappointment, they deal with anger, they deal with displacement. How do we take those emotions, help you come to grips with that, and now find your place in the space and now add value to that space. And so as we break down these systematic barriers and we deal with the various truths that are present in our society, education is a large part of that. Workforce development is another part of that. And then as we think about the low socioeconomic communities in which we serve, we have to create bridges for these individuals to realize social and economic mobility.
For many students and families, the idea of going to a traditional, and I say that with air quotes, traditional four-year university, it's just not reasonable. Even with financial aid and loans, it could be at the very least an economic gamble, if not debilitating for some.
Yeah.
CCA is ranked as the second best college in Colorado for your money, according to collegefactual.com. Talk about how important it is that we have institutions like Community College of Aurora that create an opportunity for a world-class higher education experience without leaving students feeling like they've mortgaged their future.
Absolutely. Great question, man. I will tell you that our vision as an institution is to aspire to be a college where every student succeeds. That means something because we really hone in on the word every. And then I go back to a previous response I provided about social and economic mobility. We have to create learning opportunities that directly lead to employment opportunities and the four-year transfer. The truth is the four-year experience isn't for everyone. And for those that it is, I'm a product of it. I'm also a product of a community college. And a big shout out to all of our four-year partners. With that said, we see ourselves as a bridge. And that bridge is employment or transferability. That's what our mission says. And we're able to do that in a low-cost situation where the buck isn't being passed on to the student. We're grateful for the state of Colorado, how we're funded, the Colorado Community College system, which allows us to provide services not on the backs of students. And not every educational sector can say that. And so what are we doing to keep costs low, to keep fees low, to even in some cases eliminate book costs? Because we're thinking about what we call in our space, for those that don't know, OER, open educational resources. So in some spaces now, we're offering what's called the 0 degree, which means students are not having to spend any money on textbooks, which is also served as a barrier in many of these communities, myself included, as I went through community college as well. So with that said, it is important that we keep our vision the focus, our mission the focus, create those bridge opportunities, work with our four-year partners, but also understand that in the business of social and economic mobility, we have to create as many bridges as possible to realizing economic stability.
I recently had the pleasure of serving as a judge at Community College of Aurora's Foxtober event. Thank you for that, by the way. We had a lot of fun out there.
We had a lot of fun, a lot of calories, man.
It was just one of your community outreach endeavors. Talk a little bit about the first C in CCA, the connection to our community.
Yeah. So I would say that, shout out to John Wolfkill, our executive director of the CCA Foundation, that team there. They do an outstanding job. And, we're focused on scholarships. We're focused on community engagement. CCA has been able to offer year over year nearly $700,000 in scholarships. And we're looking to increase that more. We're going to be rolling out with another scholarship program, a presidential scholarship program this next upcoming year, and really creating, again, more bridges. We have to close the gap. With that said, we see ourselves in this space of Aurora, Centennial. We see ourselves in these other spaces. We also have a campus in Denver. Our Colorado Film School is in Denver. And so what are we doing to saturate ourselves in these communities? To not just be seen from a marketing ploy standpoint, but truly taking responsibility in the elevation of the preparedness of our community. And so I think that the listeners in this community will see a whole lot more of us in these various spaces than where we've previously been.
While visiting your website, I was struck to see that your faculty, by and large, reflects the diversity of CCA students and our community at large. Is there a proactive decision to ensure that those leading the discussions in the classrooms possess an array of cultural and intellectual voices?
Man, great question. I will tell you, over the past 12 months, I'll give a shout out to Dr. Bobby Pace, our Vice President of Academic Success. We came together around the table and we began to envision and ask some questions, even about the diversity of our faculty in the classroom. When I arrived, we were at 12%. 12% of our faculty were identified as an individual of color. I'm proud to say in the past 12 months, we've raised that now to 21%, and we're not done. Right. And so it is important that students see themselves in the curriculum as well as see themselves in the classroom. And what I mean by that, the various intersective identities that each and every one of us hold in society, we're constantly seeking sometimes validation or community. And in the educational system, as you're now being poured in and information is being given to you, it is easy to feel displaced with some of this information because you don't feel like it applies to you, or you don't see anyone that looks like you,
right?
Or that you can identify with. And so we owe it to this diverse community to then offer them a diversity in service, and those who are serving them in diversity in that curriculum and the experiences, to ensure that, again, every student makes it.
During the pandemic, we saw an exponential rise in online learning. How has that impacted your work, and is it the way you see education going predominantly in the future?
You know, what comes to mind is the digital divide. It's a real thing. As we think about the low socioeconomic communities in which we serve, we have a responsibility to them. I will tell you, 51% of our non-concurrent, so concurrent is the high schoolers, for those that don't know that term, but our non-concurrent enrollment, 51% are Pell eligible. What that means is that they are then classified on the low socioeconomic scale. I was one of those students as well. My point is when you're dealing with and you're serving, take away the word dealing and serving. When you're serving those communities, it is then important to understand the barriers that they have to overcome. So as we talk about the increase in online education, it is a positive for some. For others, that is a barrier in itself. Not having broadband access, having, lack of technology in the home. Also, we go back to childcare. In some cases and spaces, the children are around, students don't care to they've got siblings, they've got family, they've got, so there's all these different challenges to the learning environment. And then we have students that just honestly, they learn better in the traditional, quote unquote, traditional learning spaces. That creates the concentration in space, the communities, the environment that they need to learn and take something from. So it's an interesting balance. I do believe that we will continue to move deeper into the online education space for us. Coming out of the pandemic, leveling out, we're talking about somewhere between roughly 30 percentile in terms of what our offerings will be. We'll probably sustain that. We'll see where we go over time. But the reality is we have to keep asking ourselves, where are the barriers present and how do we eliminate those barriers? And ask the question, if we're offering too many online educations, online education courses, is that in itself a barrier?
Community College of Aurora offers over 40 degree and certificate programs from the arts to business, health and sciences, computer technology, and skilled trades as well. How do you determine which programs to offer, and how are you able to keep up with the trends and the needs of those industries to make sure your students are competitive candidates?
We're going through that process now. Part of me coming to the college and again, being selected to serve, one of the things I talked about through my interview process is the need for us to re-envision and ask some questions that we haven't asked in higher education previously, and that is what we're offering relevant? Is it relevant? Does it make sense? In some cases, some of these programs we're offering are 20 years old. It was great at the time. However, it has not translated to the various progressions in technology and society. So I will tell you right now, you look at all the book certificates, programs included. We're at 99 programs right now in the books. Over the past 7 months, we've done what's called an academic audit, where we're working directly with our industry stakeholder partners to ask the question, does this make sense? Are you hiring off of this credential? And gratefully, our partners have said no. And sometimes they've just absolutely said, no, we're no longer using this credential. So what does that mean for us? That means that in some cases, we're going to have to sunset or close out programs. And we're in the process of doing that now over the next 12 months. And then there are other slew of programs that we're saying, does it make sense? Are our four-year partners taking this on? Is it benefiting our students from an employment standpoint? Are they able to pivot in this shifting and changing and disruptive economic market with this credential? And we have to be honest about that. So what does that mean? That means that probably over the next 3 to 4 years, this community can expect the Community College of Aurora to core down on what it's doing, to really get good at. It's kind of like finding our Coca-Cola. We've got to find what we're really good at, and then we can lock in and build from there. But we can't do it with a lot of irons in the fire, as they say.
Well, and industries are constantly evolving, especially in the light of what has happened the last couple of years. I imagine this is going to be an ongoing evolution for CCA for the next 10, 20 years. As you talk about the future, is constantly reevaluating the needs of the industries out there, especially with the influx of the metaverse and things like that. This is going to be a constantly evolving process, I imagine.
And it's going to be fun. I think that we owe it to our communities to do this work so we can reinstill trust back in the educational system. And in many cases, folks have just lost trust. Mm-hmm. They have lost trust with saying, I don't have to go through, quote unquote, the ivory tower to get to where I need to be. And in some cases, based on the disruption that has occurred, they're absolutely right. that then means that we owe it to these families, these communities coming up to say, hey, okay, what they're offering is relevant. This makes sense. And they're really out to help me.
You also offer programs for those on the periphery of higher education. Can you shed a light on Community College of Aurora's Center for Adult Education?
Yeah, man. So I will talk about English second language. For those listening, Aurora, again, I think we may be, and we probably are, the most diverse community in the state of Colorado.
We are.
As you look at the demographics. And so what that means is that there are a lot of communities that come, immigrants that come to this community that English is not learning English is an opportunity for them. And we talked about social and economic mobility. So the learning of English is key and critical towards their economic mobility. We offer ESL, and we have been for a number of years in this community, and our program does extremely well. We offer the credit version. We also offer the non-credit version to create those bridges, that hybrid learning opportunity to ensure that folks are learning and growing and then able to bridge themselves into the academic space. The other thing that we do, and matter of fact, the day that we had our cookout event, the taste testing was also our GED graduation date as well. Right. So I left that all full, calories all counted, and went over to graduation, put on regalia, and we had a wonderful time. And so also a part of that adult education is the GED. The high school equivalency. And so, again, we do some great work in that space. We're proud of it. And it just continues to create an engine of opportunity for our students.
You've touched on this a little bit, but the college offers lots of support to its students, from mental health resources to getting access to government assistance, tutorship programs, resources for undocumented students and the disabled. These students could just be a name on a register with the revenue number attached to them, but they aren't. Why is supporting your students so important for their journey?
Because it's honest, it's real, it's integritous. It is so important that we create spaces that promote transformation, not transaction. And when someone feels as though you're just essentially there to make a transaction with them, that then in the higher education space puts us in a position of serving as a product and customer. And that's not what we're about. We're about the transformation of the individual. So more transformation, less transaction. And that in itself is truly about the care, the concern, the feeling of someone truly cares for me, wants to see me win, wants to see my family win. And that's the space that we want to create at Community College of Aurora.
I appreciate you taking the time with me today. I can't imagine how busy you must be with open enrollment right now in the upcoming school year. Are there programs that you'd like to shine a light on, especially for those who are considering enrollment right now?
Absolutely. I have to talk about our Colorado Film School. Our Colorado Film School is one of the best in the country. Someone that is considering an opportunity to grow and develop and pursue that passion, reach out to our Colorado Film School. Also have to talk about construction management. Construction management is booming. We have some strong partnerships. Oakwood Homes, Build Strong Academy. Also have to talk about power mechanics, the work that we're doing in that space. Shout out to our partners Transwest, as well as Wagner Equipment. These are great partners that are committed to, again, creating that pipeline towards training and employment, and we're excited to work with them.
Dr. Mordecai Brownlee, president of the Community College of Aurora. He's also going to host the Quiet Storm after this. Have you ever considered radio?
Let's do it, man. We need to create our own podcast, man.
You can learn more at ccaurora.edu. Also, check him out on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter at CC Aurora, and on Instagram at Community College of Aurora. Hey, thank you for listening to the Gateway to the Rockies podcast. Visit Aurora is the official destination marketing organization for the city of Aurora, Colorado, and acts as the primary liaison between meeting planners and hotel partners. As Aurora's Convention and Visitors Bureau, Visit Aurora's mission is grounded in showcasing Aurora as a premier destination for meetings, business, and leisure travel. Visit Aurora represents more than 75 plus hotel properties with 13,500 plus guest rooms and more than 1 million square feet of meeting space, including Colorado's largest resort, Gaylord Rockies Resort and Convention Center. As Colorado's third largest city, Aurora is located minutes away from Denver International Airport and showcases mountain views, memorable meeting spaces, and 250 plus international eateries that offer a unique experience for each and every visitor. As the gateway to the Rockies, Visit Aurora's role in the local community goes beyond marketing the city as a destination. The Visit Aurora team is here to assist you with your Colorado visit, from facilitating your meeting, event, or convention to helping you discover local flavor and attractions. Go beyond the boardroom in Aurora, Colorado. For more, visit us at visitaurora.com.